is up, people? Welcome to the Belvista Studio Show. I am here with our special guest, Shirleen, today. Very excited to have you on because what I appreciate and recognize about you as a learning designer is the world that you've come from is not necessarily instructional design. It's more coming from a user interface design, user experience design, and graphic design perspective, but you also have very good awareness of human-centered design from that world, and you combine it, and then I think that you do really well as a learning designer. So that's very connected to how I like to approach things, so I feel very connected to you on that. And I've seen your work and I think you're amazing, so I'm super excited, and I know people watching at home are going to be so excited because you're going to take us through, because the Belvista Studio Show is all about having awesome people on, and they showcase our work, and it's an opportunity to see and be inspired by what other people are working on, where they're finding their resources, their process, and we get to learn from them. And today I'm excited to see what you want to share with us and let us learn from you, Shirleen. So welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Kim. I'm excited to be here with you. Well, I hope that it's very interesting you pointed out. It's true that my background is a bit different, which, you know, like when I first jumped into e-learning, I was like, okay, maybe, you know, like this is a disadvantage because I'm not coming from that educational background. But yeah, so I just hope that what I shared tonight will be something valuable for people who watch.
Of course it will be.
Okay.
Go on, you can take over, share your screen, take us through.
All right, okay.
Teach us.
Well, I don't know about teach, but okay, I'll just share my screen. So about a few days ago, I was scrapping through my hard drive, and then can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. So I'm looking at a PDF at the moment.
Yes. Okay. So I was scrapping through my design work, and because I moved a lot of them in my hard drive because it's taking so much space in my laptop, and I encountered this like my portfolio design from 2 years ago. Okay. And I was like, okay, wow, okay, I did all of this. Like I was kind of like in my semi-proud moment because I didn't put most of them in there because I wanted to, with my current website, I wanted to display work that is relevant to e-learning and instructional design because that's the approach that I want to go with. Yeah. From here, but yeah. So here are some of the work that I did. So this is the first one. I don't know if you want me to go through each one and talk about it, or
yeah, well, talk to us about each project individually, I reckon.
Okay, all right. Okay.
And then we can come back if we need to.
Yeah, okay. So most of the projects, I mean, not most, but some of the projects in this PDF will be the stuff that I did when I was living in China. So I was there for 6 years, and then so there's a bit of a mix of language. You're gonna see, like for example, like this one, we did like a WeChat. I don't know if you're familiar with WeChat.
It's like a messaging app.
Yeah, WeChat gamification campaign for Christmas time. So like it's interesting because I'm looking back at this and thinking, oh, actually I kind of did like a gamification sort of approach, like here where people have to select and find items. Yep. So there was kind of, I was thinking, oh, okay, maybe I already kind of thinking about this pathway even before. Yeah. So that is like one of the product UI I did, and then I also did a little bit of like branding. This was for one of the first company that I worked for. So I used a lot of like Photoshop, Illustrator at that time, and even like creating website design, I use a lot of Photoshop at the time, but now I think it's really frowned upon because it's just terrible. Like the developer hated Photoshop. Like for example, like this one, I did it in Photoshop. There's a lot of texture, there's a lot of effect to it, but I remember talking to the developer and like he hated it. Like why do you add shadow here? Why do you add all this kind of effect here?
Did he hate it from the graphic appeal, or because like the file was so big because of all the things that you added?
The later, the file
Yeah.
is bigger and it's more difficult to implement because, for example, I have like customized button and things like that. Like,
yeah. Can you blow it up for us? Zoom in so we can see what you're talking about, please.
Yeah. Is that, wait, no. Does that work?
Yeah, it's getting bigger.
Oh, maybe I have to be a bit careful here. Yeah, like for example, if it's like a plain box, something like that, like the developer can just easily put in like a CSS code or something like this.
Yeah.
But like now they have to slice each one of the image, and it was not easy, you know. I mean, it's not easy in Photoshop to get all those elements out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's an extension of all the other pages. And I did a lot of
website for that logo and brand identity that you did earlier.
Yeah, like photo manipulation, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Another website with Photoshop. Didn't really like that one. Color is too muddy.
Talk us through that. When you say you don't like it, the color is too muddy.
It's interesting because the art direction didn't come from me. Like I work with this creative director, and then she had a different approach than me, and basically I had to follow her direction.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it that way, and then kind of already set that like, okay, it has to be this way.
What was her direction? And then what if you could go back and do it now without any direction, what would your approach be?
I'm not sure what will be my approach. Like, so her direction would be like, for example, the treatment of this image.
Yeah.
Like she wanted the color of the background being like toned down, not as saturated. Only like some part of the item being very saturated.
Yeah.
And things, I don't know, like for me it was a bit like a bit old school. But like, for example, I like this one. I like the front.
Yeah.
But there are things like that. And I think also the layout of this. So basically, when you click on it, it's supposed to slide to the left, and it opens up like a text and things like that. It wouldn't, I don't know what I would do, like, but I just didn't like these images being cut off because those are beautiful images of architecture. I don't know, like at the time, I think this was, I don't know what year was it, but it was less about, because now I think website is very, you scroll to the bottom and there's all the contents like condensed in one page. But I think at the time it's more about like having that, I don't know how you call it, like an each screen condensing all this images.
Individual screens for individual content.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what I would do actually. That a yes question. Yeah. And this one was interesting because I forgot about this one, but if I think about it again, it's kind of like a bit like e-learning. Like so this is an interactive video, and there's so on the second image here, there's an interactive there's a video playing.
Yeah.
So this is a marketing campaign for this product from Asus, and then they have to, throughout the video, there's people calling.
Yeah.
And then the user have to click on the video to pick up that phone call. And then each one they answer correctly. This is almost like the icons at the bottom, they change.
Yeah. Can you please zoom in more on that just so people can see what you're talking about? Blow it right up.
Let me see if that, does it work?
Yeah, it's getting better. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, just like that. And then it's interesting because I also, now that I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, there was like some assessment at the end.
Ooh.
I don't know what was the purpose of that, but yeah. But yeah, like this one was also being designed in Photoshop. It's a lot of shadowing, editing, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time, I think we have some contractor to develop this, so I wasn't involved in developing it. But yeah, it's cool to see that. It's like, oh, there's already some e-learning related stuff.
With a project like this, so ASOS is like a well-known kind of technology brand. They have, you know that they're corporate, they're professional, their colors, you can kind of make the association to their brand. When you are trying to make a design like this, do you just use their brand style guide and then try and do something, or do you use their brand style guide and go and look at, you know, posters and websites and all the things, the collateral that they've developed before, and then mimic that and continue it on? Or do you put your own interpretation onto the brand, I guess?
So I remember that at the time, the branding guideline is very, very strict. Like, for example, like this Intel icon.
Yeah.
Like we had complained about that this is not the right size. So it has to be specifically like 3.5 centimeters, something like this, or like very specific. But yeah, we literally follow their branding guidelines, and their font, the images are provided. And I think the treatment of like background and things like that is just, I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure I drawn on an inspiration from somewhere, but it's pretty much being driven by their branding guidelines because it's so strong. Yeah. I think for brands like this, it is I want to say unfortunately, but maybe that's not the right word, because it's so strict in that sense, as is almost like it's probably a good constraint to have, but yeah, it's limiting in that sense. Yeah. Cool. What else do I have? So another website again. This is this is still the same company that I work with, and on the first one, still like Photoshop, a lot of effect.
When you look at those screens and these ones as well, websites, what elements do you see as similarities or nice elements that should be that you recommend people should use in their e-learning?
That's a really good point. So like I think it's definitely the similarities will be spacing, layout, and like hierarchy of like typography, like heading, subtitle, body text. Like it has to be consistent throughout. That I think that really help, because not only good for the learner, is also good for the brand. Create that validity that you're a good brand. And what else would I think that? I think spacing is the big one, and also like we talked about earlier, where there was graphic design, like basic graphic design principles with the pattern. Okay, let me just see if those page. I wanted to show this one, but I need to log into Medium and I can't read the free one anymore. But like, for example, so basic one like alignment and hierarchy, which what I mentioned, and contrast, where basically in one space or in one group of elements, like which one that you want a user to focus on, that really, really helps. So the size of the image, how is it going to balance the text, things like that. And repetition, so pattern. They don't have an example of that, but yeah, like repetition of pattern. Like for example, like here, the repetition of this, I don't know, is it clear? Like the icons
logo,
and the position of this graphics and proximity to the distance between the content, for example, like this thing. So like this left bar, and how is that a bit separated from the main content. It really shows that those two has different purposes and meaning.
How do you know how to get the proximity? Are there like questions we can ask ourselves or things to observe to get better at that?
So I remember that when I was working for, I was freelancing for this web agency, and I was literally just doing UI, and then he told, like my boss at the time, he told me something about so spacing for like example like this.
Yeah.
Sorry, the blue stuff keep coming out. It'll be like 120 pixel, 130 pixels, and then so nowadays this probably be a bit even more. And for example, like this, the end of this, how do you say this, tiles to the text, it should be 20 pixels.
Wow. So there's rules out there already determined.
Yeah.
You just have to Google what are the pixels, and that allows us to get an already determined nice proximity.
Yeah, like I don't remember I don't know all the details either. That's something that I've learned from him, and I figure out that maybe it's something that we can learn, for example, like from material design or from Apple design guidelines, because they do have this specific stuff, like for example, like button minimum of 44 pixel, because the study shows that it's just the average size of the fingerprints to things like that. But I think what I found with e-learning, that typically is bigger.
Why do you think that is?
I haven't figured that out, but it's interesting, like, because when I try to apply those principles in storyline, for example, that it didn't work. Like when I put 44 pixel, it looks too small. I don't know, maybe other designers would argue differently.
Actually, I'd love to know that in the comments as well. No, because I've noticed when you bring things in from Illustrator, you have 20 pixels, you put it into Articulate, it's not 20 pixels. So if there's an answer to that, that would be very useful, because you always resize things in your design programs and then bring them in. You have to it's frustrating.
Yeah, that'd be I mean, that'd be good to know. Maybe it's the way I export the images. I don't know, like, not sure.
Teach us community.
I'm trying to find that the button, because they do have those specific measurement. Human interface guideline with the human interface guidelines, probably in the, it should be here, but I couldn't find it. Interface essentials, control. Here, example, like you have the principles as well.
Yeah.
But I really want to find this, but
I think it's really interesting as you're flicking through there, you can see that they have very precise images that are showing the spacing, the rounded corners. They're they've templatized their screens to help you show all of the design principles that they're saying you need to consider.
Yeah, for sure. Like they do have this specification of each things, which is very helpful, because sometimes you really don't know. Like I tend to go on like gut feelings. Oh yeah, okay, that works.
Yeah.
But then also at the same time, no. But I'm sure there is like rules of why this one works and why it doesn't.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting point, because a lot of times when you're a designer, you forget that not everyone knows these things that are so habitual for you now, but when you go back, it's about Googling, you know, how do you lay out things on screen, and what is margins and paddings and alignment and height, like these pixels. And there's already templates and resources out there telling you use these things to get you started. And that's including using rulers on your designs and grid lines to make sure things are placed nicely. And over time, like you just described there, you don't need those. Those kind of stabilizers start to drop off because you become, they call it an eye for design, I think, where you're able to just, like you said, your gut tells you that is right.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff on Google that everyone can use to begin with as they start to learn.
Oh, here I found it. I think, is it this one? But like, even not this one, I think, but then even like here, like, right, like they just say use a 22 points, and like that's how it looks like if it's 9 points. And they have like a design system in place. Cool. So yeah, like I think reading those systems are very helpful. I wonder if material design have that too. Designed material iconography. Probably not. Or again, they have like design principles, things like that. Brand expression, design approach. That's cool. Grid. Yeah, those. I think those like ratios are also very helpful. Using the grid in like if you use like Adobe XD and things like that, using the grid inside it also very helpful, I find. But yeah, like those are probably the things that I would pay attention to as a start.
What are your thoughts on see how they've got the tiles there on the left hand side, and you've got blue text, you've got the standout black text, and you've got more blue and gray text. Talk us through how you decide what color, what size to design that tile, and give the
font size. It's also interesting because it's something that I learned throughout. Like I haven't really done like, I'll find a place where there is rules for this. I mean, I have a feeling I might have learned that in school. I guess that's just, that's the privilege, I guess, going to design school. But what what I'm trying to achieve there is just to, like, I don't want this tile to look bland, and I want to add that color accent. But I don't want the color accent to be overpowering. And in terms of like measurement of size, I mean, looking at this, I mean, I think the ratio will be like, this is 1 and this is, this I find that this is a little bit too big. I'll probably turn it down to like 5 pixels down or something like that. But like maybe the ratio is 1, 2, 3, and then the body, it's like, so 1, so probably the accent is 1, and then the body is 2, and then the title may be 4, so the ratio, like roughly, I think, I'm pretty sure there's something in Google that would define that better, articulate that better.
But that's even interesting in itself. I never thought of it as ratios, because for me, I always like just scale things until they look good. But even saying this is 1, now you could copy and paste it twice to find out what's double the height, and then figure out that's what my next main hierarchy of text be. So ratios. That's cool. I never thought about it that way.
Well, I think I actually also never really, I mean, when I jump into doing work, I didn't think about ratio as well. I'm just like, okay, that looks good. But then I think, like, logically, that it would feel like that. If that makes sense. Logically feeling.
I'm like, how did I not think of that before?
But yeah, I think Yeah, that's interesting. All this articulating these specifications that,
Mm.
you know, like what we feel right, and I'm sure there's like some rules for this.
Yeah.
Um,
Tell me,
yeah.
what's your decision-making process in terms of, you talk about the accent color, and what about confusing that with or distinguishing it from something that's interactive? Do you have any rules on that?
Yeah, so when it comes to color, for sure that you want something like interactive element to have the most vibrant color to attract that to attract user to realize, okay, there is affordability here. Yeah. What was that?
You want it clickable, so
Yeah,
it's so
clickable.
like attractive that they're like, I must click it.
Yeah, for sure. And then how do I contrast that with the accent? I think that if it's I would probably contrast it in a cool and a warm color.
Oh, tell us more about that.
Okay. So it's also something I've been thinking lately, because I'm trying to articulate it better as well, where I find that most of the time when I'm trying to look for like a color balance, like there's always an element of warm and cold, and if the background is too cold, then I have to find an accent, a little bit of accent somewhere that is a little bit of a bit warm.
Yeah.
Like, so for example, like these pages, I think without the red it will be dead. And so I don't know if I could find that example. Like, yeah, maybe even like this, because the gray is quite cold. It's not a warm gray, and I have to find that balance of making it helping each other colors to pop up better. I wonder if I have
a warm and cold, or what if
so
you have warm or a cold design?
are you asking what's the warm and the cold design?
No, I'm saying, should a design always have an element of color, or sorry, warm and cold, or can you do just a cold only design or a warm only design?
I don't think there's strict rules about that. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't think there's like strict hard rules where has to be like warm or cold. But like, for example, if you go on a monotone design, it's going to be black and white, but then probably you can shift in terms of like, oh, is it going to be color like a warm gray or cold gray? But I guess it's like it's an element of polarability. Like, it doesn't have to be extremely cold or warm, but I think for me, I tend to go that way, like trying to find that balance.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know, not sure. Not everyone probably do it that way.
Is there a website that you use to find that warm and cold, like something like that has the themes that allows you to go, that's like scent color that matches the blue that I'm using, for example?
Yeah, there was some well, okay, my first go-to is always Dribble. I mean, not really like a like to find that matching color, but so you can also, for example, find, I don't know if I type like a color, I don't know if there is that color. Okay, no.
Oh no, you made
so
it up.
For example, yeah, like, oh no, but if you click on something, it's gonna, they have those color code. So for example, like this.
So you can get themes from that.
Yeah, and then you can get themes from that color, and you'll be able to see, okay, actually that color that I choose would work with this. But yeah, like I think talking about that warm and cold color again, like for example, I think most of these designs here, they use that trick, like
The
with
blue
this,
and the pink, the orange and the blue. Yeah.
And like with exactly the black here, balancing that out, the blue, this is quite a cold pink, and then but that just works. Actually, this element is quite cold, but I just think that works. I think it's because there is a contrast here. Again, one of the principles. So that would be one of my trick. What my other trick? I think seeing color palettes. There was something that I read actually earlier. Do I have it here? It was
very organized in your bookmarks.
I'm trying to be, because usually I'm not like that. But if we look at color palettes, I think this one also, or the not color hunt, color. I'm usually not very good at following color palette. Oh yeah, this one. I find it quite useful as well if you want to follow like a
that's cool.
Color palette, and you can literally just follow this combinations that they already have. But I think you can kind of see as well that they're trying to balance that cold and warm again. Even if it's monotone, I think this is slightly a bit I wouldn't say cold actually, but then I think this in monotone you find balance in contrast. Actually, now that I just realizing it, it's interesting that we're talking about this and we just find answers for yourself. I would say those would probably my approach.
Well, it is when someone's gone to the effort of making a nice color theme already that works, then that's what you should use.
You
spend a lot of time trying to find out, is this the right hue or saturation of this color, and then matching it to another color. So it makes sense to find someone that's done the work for us.
It's true though, like I tend to grab an image. I mean, it's true, somebody's already done this for us, like you see that it works, but although sometimes that it doesn't work, because you see here is it works well is because the font is very thin, so it becomes an accent, and then the dominant part is the orange. But then if in your design it's the opposite, maybe it doesn't work. So I think things like that.
Cool.
That's cool. Yeah, it's cool looking at all these designs. I'm always I also sometimes use Pinterest for design. I think a lot of people do this as well. Okay, I don't know what's gonna come up because my search. Oh, okay, having
your personal search. The next shoes that you're gonna buy.
There. Okay. I don't know why I have a lot of costume here.
What's your secret hobby?
Design. Okay. Like I often get inspiration from like interior design stuff as well. and even like this, just like a photograph. And then I think Pinterest also have a lot of art stuff, which I find quite useful to see that combination of color.
So talk us through how you get inspired by a photo here, and then how do you experiment or be inspired and end up with a design? What's your process?
I think you're talking about photos like this, or like graphics?
Maybe actually, if you say, I think the interior design one is a good example because it's completely different.
I'm trying to think, because like, for example, like from my website is very greenish. Like, I'm just trying to think, because I remember I was inspired by a lot of wedding photos. So very greenish, and then I don't know if I put green interior. I think I was inspired by interior, but even like, yeah, things like that.
I can definitely see how your website links
like
back.
Yeah, so I'm like kind of pulling, okay, I want to feel like that, and then pulling out those elements. I don't think it's as easy as getting inspired from images, because it's not flat, it's 3D. There's like a lot of different shades in it. But like, yeah, for example, like this one, I think it would be something pretty close to what I was inspired from. Like a lot of combination of this nude color with green. So yeah, but more inspires from images than like graphic images than.
Show us your website again, because I'd love people. It's really interesting looking at that Pinterest. I'm like, how would you design a website using those colors? Like, it's very clear that lots of people had determined that that deep green and the kind of peachy nude color go together, and you've been able to see that vision and turn a website out. And when I see the website, I'm like, you've definitely been stimulated and inspired.
Yeah, I was
like, how would you get there?
Yeah, I was pretty bug pretty stimulated by that. Yeah, I think it's just kind of looking at all these images, and then you just grab those. Okay, this, because that's quite dominant as well. And again, it goes back to that warm and cold. And I also had to find a balance for this nude color, because I remember at the beginning it was quite pinkish. It's too pinkish, and I need to find that neutral, because I also want it to look neutral. And balancing that green and nude color. Yeah, I don't think there was any specific process to it. It's just kind of, I love to drag images on my I don't know, it would consider be stealing or farjit. How do you call that? Yeah, but I love just dragging those, and then using the color pointer and pick up the color code, and that's it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Take us back to your examples in the PDF, and let's see a few.
Yeah, I'm just gonna see what else is interesting.
I think what's good is, as well, sometimes we're seeing in your work that you're putting the product that you've designed, whether that's an app or a website, into context. And what I mean by that is you're displaying it on a phone, or you're displaying it on a website. Now here you haven't, but on the previous screen you had the laptop photo, and then you're going, well, I've worked on this website design. And here it is in context. I think that's really good to help people, stakeholders that are not visual people, to really understand this.
I think like that, I think that definitely helps, because like like you're right, like for example, like this one, it kind of gives you that visual, okay, that's how it's gonna look like. what's the like a ratio on the screen, and how is that gonna look? Is it too big, or is that gonna fit nicely? Yeah, I'm actually kind of in the contemplating mode right now, because in my so this is my old website, and this is before my current one.
Yeah.
And so I display using a lot of like images like this.
Yeah.
And after that, I updated, my current one is very flat like this, because like at the moment, like I'm very much influenced by dribble posts and Instagram posts.
Yes.
But then I don't know, like I'm contemplating, like I think this works better because it just show how realistic it is. And like I'm tempted to go back there. I think it's a design choice, because I know there's a lot of graphic designer, like they do it this way, they want to clean cut designs. But I'm thinking like, okay, but in e-learning world, I think we're so into about the learner's perspective. That it kind of makes sense to like having that, like, yeah, how is it going to look like when somebody's using your product or your course?
That's something we've been learning a lot about and confirming a lot about, is what makes people stop and pay attention to something. And so we are looking at YouTube thumbnails, Instagram accounts, posters, DVD covers, book covers. So trying to think, what makes you stop in a whole bookshop and go, I'm going to pick up that book and read the back of it, when you're reading hundreds of other things. And the one common denominator is that it demonstrates very clearly the outcome that you're going to get as a result of whatever is contained within that thing, whether it's a book or an Instagram post. So what I love about this side of it is you're demonstrating the e-learning will look like this in a user's hand. The e-learning, the screen will look like this on your learner's computer at work. So very clear what we're seeing success look like on a first impression. We need to hook someone to pay attention, is demonstrating this is the end outcome you will achieve. Yeah.
No, I think that totally makes sense. And because I think a lot of stakeholders, they're also not they're not visual. I wouldn't say not visual based, but like they're so, because they're not in design and they're a bit out of that zone. Like they don't care, they just want to see how it looks like in real. And often they're like displaying something that is not as realistic. They're probably thinking like, what is this, like is this final, is this not, like so it makes sense that way. Interesting. I think even like here, I think I display as much as I can on the laptop. I think this one is very old, this design, like still using a lot of like gradient. I think there's also one thing is important in UI is always follow design trends, because it's just changing so fast. Like it's just, I think like sometimes I can keep up, but like paying attention to those makes it makes your course and your design relevant. It's, I think it's good for user experience.
What would you say is the trend of the moment now?
Oh, interesting. So there's a lot of like this soft shadowing and this 3D effect from like Apple. There was, I think a few months ago, there was this news. I never be able to pronounce this thing. Skeuomorphism.
Ah,
Is
yes.
that how-
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm starting to see that a lot of 3D stuff happening as well, like 3D characters.
Are you able to explain it based on those icons up the top so people would know what skeuomorphism is?
Okay, I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
I think I read one article about it. That is, I don't think I'm gonna do this well. Explain it, but like it's almost like they're trying to make it realistic, but it's not. It's not harsh, but it's also something that is not new. It's like it happened before. Like so, I mean, it's like fashion trends. How it just
Yeah. It's like
it
bell
reused.
bottoms coming back into fashion.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, basically. But yeah, it's I think when I was reading this, it leads me back to Dieter Rem. Um, maybe this one. I'm sure you heard of him.
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, I like this one better. Where he, so like the Apple, the iPhone calculator design was inspired by his work, and also a lot of Apple design inspired by his work. So like this is like is flat, but also there is those elements of realism. Like I don't think I'm articulating this nicely, but like for example, like this the cylinder. So there is a connection between those two, but this like the design that happened in like 68.
Yeah.
So it is like a long time ago, like this. So I don't remember which article, but there is a connection between this calculator and how it inspires iPhone calculator app.
Yeah.
If
I'm
you,
looking at a definition. It's very like
yeah,
not
what
easy
does it
to read.
what does it say?
But what you were just describing there is essentially they're pulling elements from the real thing onto the design. So the example that makes sense to me that they've given is the calendar icon, and normally a calendar has the binding rings on it, so they include those binding rings on the icon, and they're like a little bit 3D, and they have the like what do you call it, the shadow to make it look like that. So pulling elements from the real world and putting them into the design of what it is.
Okay, interesting.
Which
Yeah,
it's weird because for me that's just like replicating what it really looks like, but it has weird skeuomorphism. Someone in the comments just tell us it in very basic example terms.
Yes, please. Yeah, that's is interesting because yeah, and it's really cool to see how it's been done in the past and is inspired nowadays. But like I love like his work here. It's just for me, it's like even like this product designs, like they look modern. Like I wouldn't expect it. It's like done in 68. But yeah, there will be one that I think I'm aware of, and a lot of 3D illustrations happening as well.
Oh, I love the 3D
that
icons and like characters.
Yeah, like this is something that we talk about with Kath as well, Kath Ellis. And which one? Like I was saving a lot of resources from her because she knows like all of these things. And isn't this one? Oh yeah, like things like this. I think this style is also kind of emerging, like happening. I think there will be like the most thing that I probably notice in social media. nowadays, or Dribble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those Polygon designs, I think they're gorgeous. I don't know if they're a trend, but I just think they're beautiful.
Polygon.
Yeah. Go onto Instagram because you're sharing your screen.
Yeah.
And then just search the hashtag Polygon and we'll see if it comes up.
Okay, Instagram.
And you can give Shirleen and I'll follow there since we're seeing her Instagram account.
Polygon.com.
I'm thinking just search the hashtag.
Oh. Okay, just go here.
You don't know what's going to come up here. It could be something very dodgy. Yeah, go on.
Could be Polygon.
Yeah. I think this is what it's called.
Is it this one?
Yeah, let's try that.
Okay.
Oh, geez, not that.
Okay, maybe try Polygon Design.
Yeah. Yeah, like that tree.
Oh.
And
This one.
yeah. But they do like beautiful little houses and people. I'll search as well.
Let's see on Dribble.
Okay. Maybe I'm not using the right word.
Is it like, no?
Yeah, those ones. I love them.
Yeah, like I like the simplicity of those.
They're just so cute.
Would it be something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
There's some gorgeous, like that little, what do you call it? Station, the fuel station, like stuff like that. I think is so
This
cute.
one, yeah, it's so cool. 3D, yeah, 3D stuff, I think is really, what you call that is isometric. I think it's isometric.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm taking you off track now. You can go back to what you talking about.
That's okay. No, it's always cool to explore. This one is just, I think another campaign that I did for Tom's. I think mostly just Illustrator. But this one, white on light blue, no accessibility. Right.
That's a nice logo and colors.
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy doing logo.
This is a brand style guide you've come up with, or a brand identity?
Yeah.
Cool.
With the elements
Talk
and
to people about the benefits of having one, of creating one for a project.
Like for me, honestly, like I think before I was thinking like, what's the point? But I think it's very useful for other people who's helping you in your project.
Yeah.
Why?
What can go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, like if you're the owner of this business and then you want to pass it somebody to develop something, it's just you don't have to explain much, right? And you just follow this direction, and then easily, it's like dimension measurement, how you use it. I think like nowadays, like I think before I start any e-learning design, things like that, I always ask these branding guidelines because that's just the Bible for them. Yeah.
What fonts, what colors, and especially if someone else takes up a design and then they want to get all creative and then it's different to something you've created, but it's meant to be on brand and templatized or the same so that people know it's coming from the one organization. It's just rather, these are the rules, follow these rules. You still have opportunity to be creative within those rules. It's just meaning that it is consistent.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Because I think or else then, because we love to be creative, right? And just kind of I want to try explore different things. So it's a good constraint to have.
Yeah.
Another logo.
Isometric design?
Yeah, I think it's my attempt to do it.
I just call you out on it. No. That's an interesting thing that people aren't aware of when you talk about graphic design principles, but the what is it? Perspective. Like getting your perspective, get your grids out. There are in the tools themselves, they have the perspective so that you can get things in proportion. Otherwise it can look really weird.
Yeah, proportion as well. Yeah. I'm not very good at this isometric stuff. I think it's a lot of like,
I want to say so long.
Yeah, logical thinking. I want to say logical, but just calculation of like the X and the Y and the and then that's it. The other ones just design just like side projects like graphic design stuff, menu stuff.
I like it. Again, you put it in context. I think that's really nice. Like the coffee cup, you know, sitting on the menu. People are already enjoying the coffee and now they're looking at what else they want to buy. And then on your next screen where you had the blocks, I think that's like really well.
This one is I did like a it's like blocks for kids learning Mandarin. And then it's like a lot of photo manipulation using Photoshop and Illustrator for the design.
And this is where you would have had to get like proportions right and the skew right as well, which I think can be challenging. Do you want to talk to people about that?
How did I do this? I think I literally did it manually, where I had so the block of the images like already there, and then I would copy paste from Illustrator I exported PNG from Illustrator, so it become an individual images. I don't know if I set up the design file. So they just flat, and then you use the tool from Photoshop to actually what I did, I make this image transparent on top of this thing, like turning down the opacity so I can see what's underneath. And that's it. You just have to zoom in, and then using the skew tool, just kind of that position is not a pleasant experience, but
zooming.
Yeah, but I think you can see it like even like this, for example, like I messed it up there, like here you can tell like when it's not right, but and especially like elements like this, it's a bit difficult because it's not a full block.
I think it's important for people to make sure that they get things like the scale and the skew right, because our eyes, even if you're not a designer, people will pick up on it as a flaw.
I think that's interesting also. I think a lot of the times when I look at presentation slides the image being skewed or like distorted in a way that is not correct, then I'm just like, I need to change that. Like it's not proper. Even if like an oval is not properly even intended to be round, it should be round. It shouldn't be like longer on the side of it. Like little things like that, and just couldn't help it. Alignment.
If you if people want to know, like hold down shift when you're resizing images, and that will keep things in scale, because sometimes we're like, oh, it needs to be bigger, so we pull it out to the right and pull it up or pull it down to make it bigger, and that's where we get what did you call it? It's distorted. If you click, then you can scale it and the proportions will stay the same, and then you won't have these struggles.
That's
a little trick.
And that's the end of my old portfolio.
Nice. For 2018, how would you say your skills, because you have been continuously experimenting in the tools, so how would you say your skills have developed since then? What have you gotten better at, and what are you still trying to improve on?
what have I gotten better at? It's very like I have this conversation I think often with my husband where it's so difficult to assess myself from outside where because I'm so in it and it's like often I'm just like I don't know like I improved myself like but I mean looking at my work now I would say maybe not in I'm pretty sure technicality that I think I'm faster in doing design.
Yeah.
But I think I'm also a bit more focused on digital. Like before I was mixed between I wanted to do print design. So I guess that one is more about focusing my
Okay.
specialty. Like I want to focus digital e-learning, and then before like was a mix. I was still like okay, yes, here and there graphic design.
So you've identified what kind of design you like doing, and now you're doing more of that and not doing the design stuff that you don't like as much.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yes, you put it nicely, Kim.
You're welcome.
Yes. And probably just learning more about other tools out there. Like it's interesting because as a designer I'm so used to just using Creative Suite.
Yeah, me too.
And, yeah, and then when the last time I chat with Kath, Amanda, and Troy and Emma, there's like I mean, they use like so many different tools out there that I never used before. And because I'm thinking like, I don't know, like, I'm not sure if I want to spend a few hours learning other tools when I'm already fluent on this one. But like, I think like often those tools are more efficient than this Creative Suite. Like for example, I started using Canva for
I love that. Yeah, we started it as well.
Yeah, you as well. Yeah, I think it's great. I started using it for my Instagram post. It's just so easy, like.
And that's what we were talking about before, like with the colors that someone has already designed, like the themes. A designer out there has already designed these beautiful layouts. You just need to change the text and change the colors. So it's just making our lives a lot easier. And especially for people that are non-designers, you can go, that's a beautiful design, I want to use that. So you don't have to be a designer trying to learn the Adobe suite, for example, as a complex tool, or something like Adobe XD, or Ridvan was on the show recently. He has so many tools that you can prototype. Same with Andre Jablonski, actually. Another show episode, Belvista Studio show episode, where they've showed this is where they like prototype. But if you don't need to learn tools. Canva is a brilliant tool that has it already done for you.
Yeah. No, I think it's perfect. Like I'm loving it too now. I'm like, because like it would take. I mean, like some of the tools that I use, like for example, like Sketch. It's great, but in the same time, like there's still some like setting up to do things. And with Canva is easy. They already have the template and the sizing done for you. I think that's just.
Do you mind opening up Canva there as well while you've got your screen shared, and let's just show people what is in there, because they've got you can save your templates and stuff, but they've got Facebook posts, they've got PowerPoint design, you can change the dimensions. It then adapts for different devices as well. So
like for example, like here create a design, and then they already have this size suggestion, which is great. I think like poster presentation, for example, Instagram story.
You're gonna start from scratch?
No. And then that's it, like you have all this like selection.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then try that one.
I think you like this pinky.
And then what I love, pinky. I love these elements as well.
So cute.
Recently used chicken.
What was that?
I don't know. I just love.
You were hungry.
Yeah, it's great. They have this selection of like free, simple drawn objects. I think this one is even animated. Oh yes, like easily.
That's cool. So one click, you can make it animated.
Yeah, and if you use, I don't know, like I don't really use what's the After Effects much. Like I don't know, like how long will it take to do that on After Effects? And then yeah, I easily download it, and there's a video to be uploaded into Story, and that's it.
Yeah, and GIFs and PNGs and
Yeah,
lots of different ways to download
yeah,
it.
totally, yeah. PNG, JPEG, and everything.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so many tools out there. Thinking about other tools that I think this is a tool that Amanda used. It's a bit like Adobe XD, I think.
Okay.
I haven't really explored it, but I think it's almost like an option if. But Adobe XD this one is free as well. Yeah. Yeah, like if you don't want to get Creative Student, I think so many options out there to get all of these tools.
Very cool. Any other cool tools that you think are worth sharing?
I'm just looking at my list. What else is there? Oh, this is the one that I just found out today, but I'm not sure yet what does it do. It's to do a prototype.
Yeah.
And then easily make it interactive. I haven't learned. Okay, maybe we can see. Okay. I think it's a bit like
Shirleen's listening to the audio. We can't hear it. She's going to fill us in shortly, though.
Sorry?
I said we can't hear the audio, so you're going to...
Okay. I'm just trying to see, like, I think it also looks a little bit like Adobe XD or Sketch, just like prototyping tool. I mean, it sounds like they're selling it a bit easier to use. I haven't looked into the app, but it's something that I saw today on Instagram. There's this one, a pitch. I also haven't looked at it in details. It's a collaborative presentation tool. It looks pretty cool.
Little 3D elements as well.
Yeah, and I think it makes it's a bit like PowerPoint, but I mean I think the UI looks great. And yeah, there's so many tools out there.
Yeah, it is.
What else? Pixelmator. My colleague used this. It's an image editing tool. I think Amanda also used this one. So if you don't have Photoshop or anything like that, you can use this as well. Yeah, endless tools.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think let's wrap it up because I've got such a big list of resources.
Okay, that's good.
in the description of the video. But very grateful for you taking us through your designs and your process for what
Well,
you.
I hope that's valuable, at some value for
Of
people
course
who watch.
Of course, even if they take one little thing of value, you've added value and changed someone's life. So thank
Awesome.
you for
Thank
making
you.
the time to do this and for contributing and sharing your knowledge with people. I'm sure they will take a lot away, but I recommend people to just pick a tool and explore it, or even start with Canva and start appreciating what you like and what you don't like, and then start incorporating that into your designs. But Shirleen, you're a rock star. Grateful for you.
Oh, thank you, Kim, for having me and giving me the opportunity to share all this.
Of course, you can come
Awesome.
back anytime. At home, thank you for watching the Belvista Studio show. You should share this with someone that you think it will add value to so that they can improve their craft as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you, guys. Bye.